Hey everybody, Ethan here with Standing Stone, and this is an episode that I've been waiting to do for a little while. We have a very special guest today who happens to be lovingly known as Uncle Rich to a majority of the folks that I hunt with, and he's even been mentioned on multiple podcasts because I've got a lot of stories about spending time chasing bird dogs with my uncle. Now, it's one thing that I learned a lot about bird dogs, and I learned a lot about how things have kind of evolved, and spent a lot of time chasing dogs with my uncle. Now, Rich Reiswick, our guest today, is had bird dogs a very long time, and I'm excited to talk to him a little bit more about that and the history. But this one will be fun. Before we jump into this, guys, I do want to say thank you to all of the sponsors of Standing Stone, the biggest one being patrons. If you are interested in training your dog yourself, which a lot of folks that do listen to this are, we can help you via a couple different avenues, one of which is our online course. But the other is through Patreon. You can set up there through different levels of subscription where we can answer questions on the daily, or I can even set up live calls with you to kind of go through either a training plan or watch videos watch training sessions, as you go. Now, it's probably one of the most powerful things that we have to offer to help you train your dogs. We've got lots of videos, and you've probably seen a few of them if you're here, but more importantly is our ability to read dog training situations and dog training setups and what is happening and what is not happening and catching some of the things that you're missing. So if you need help, you can become a patron for as little as $5 a month, but also while supporting the content that's out there, you're also going to get support from us. Outside of that, we believe in DT Systems products. We've been using DT Systems e-collars for almost 15 years. They are fantastic. And if you're looking at a collar product, you need to check them out. We feed all of our dogs Eukanuba premium performance dog food and have because it's the right food for them. And I will say this, it sounds like an odd thing to say in a sponsored clip, but the food is not cheap. And we love our dogs and we want them to perform to the top tier. So we feed them what we feel is best for them. They do better, literally. And if you are on the edge at all about how your dog is performing, it is something that you should be considering. Eukanuba dog food. We were up here grouse hunting, and I am shooting the Kent fast lead ammo. The pink guns, they're all 20 gauges. And a big part of being able to be successful shooting 20 gauges, having quality ammo. I am shooting 3-inch rounds through my semi-automatic with number 5s. Gives us the ability to not only reach out there and touch them, but actually harvest the birds. Key thing there. So I want to get in here with the conversation. Uncle Rich.
Yes,
thanks for joining me.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
A lot of people put up with us interviewing them and asking questions, but I want to cover a few things with you today to start with. You've had bird dogs for a very long time.
Since I can remember. We've always had a bird dog around.
What is the first bird dog that you ever had?
First one was actually mine, was a German Shorthair Lab Cross, actually. Her name was Queenie.
Uh-huh. I've heard a lot of stories about Queenie.
There's been a couple Queenies, actually. I reused the name. You know?
We talk about reusing names, and it gets a little confusing sometimes. Is it Queenie 1, or was it Queenie 2, or was it Queenie 3?
Exactly. I quit doing that.
I understand why.
But yeah, she was just my grandfather, your great grandfather, actually, Grandpa Dale, had a deserted dog, basically.
Yeah.
And showed up at his house, and he just kind of adopted her. We think she was a purebred short hair.
Okay.
And yeah, of course, being a female, she ran about by herself and ran around the shop with Grandpa. And, one day she came home and had puppies.
And they all look like black labs. Probably.
Yeah, pretty much. And we went up and picked the dog out of the litter, and she needed some training. She was a natural hunter. She was a very natural hunter. And so Dad didn't spend a lot of time, really. I was 4 or 5 years old. So obviously I knew nothing about training a dog. And
everything all at the same time, probably.
Right. And Dad took her out, dumped her out in the field, and she went to hunting. And so he never spent much time. I mean, she was a wonderful quail hunting dog. I mean, she'd hold point forever, but fortunately there was a lot of pheasants around too. And about pheasants, they tend to run a lot.
Yeah.
Well, she ran until she got them up. No control,
Yeah.
Just never had any of that. No, that was the days before e-collars, we didn't have the stimulation. We had to yell at them, and that's what Dad did. He'd yell at her.
He just yelled at her. Absolutely.
And she still kept running.
Not an effective handling method.
No.
So, quail, this is growing up in Nebraska.
Yep, southern Nebraska. We actually hunted mostly northern Kansas. We were right there on the Kansas-Nebraska border, in Superior. So, yeah, the farm, the family farm, which is mine now, we hunted a lot around there. Of course, Dad was born on the farm and, knew all the landowners around the area, and, we could hunt basically anywhere.
So how often as a kid, and you got to go along as a 4 or 5 year old and walk and chase a dog?
Absolutely.
How often did you guys hunt? Was it an every weekend thing because Grandpa worked, or is it?
Pretty much an every weekend deal. We'd pretty much Dad and I and Granddad, if season was open, we were out chasing the dogs.
Absolutely. And quite literally explained there, chasing the dog.
Yeah. But, we had, Dad had a big old Weimaraner before we got Queenie, and he was just a brute of a dog, as I remember. I mean, obviously I was very young at the time.
I mean, could have been 50 pounds.
Right. I think he was probably 80. He could...
Limes get big.
He would literally walk up the kitchen table and lay his head on the table.
Oh, my goodness.
He was a biggie.
He was a big dog.
But Granddad always seemed to be preferred Weimaraner, so he always had one around generally, and generally kept it at our house, just because Granddad didn't have a kennel.
Yeah.
So we had the kennel at the house and kept our dog there, his dog generally. But then, of course, grew up, my first real dog probably I ever really had any experience training was dog.
D-O-G, dog.
D-A-W-G.
Oh, D-A-W-G.
Yeah.
He had that dog in him.
Yeah, dog. But yeah, we, and it was Queenie pup.
Okay.
We bred her back to a full-blood Shorthair because we wanted to keep her. She was a really good, steady dog. I basically trained her, from puppy time.
And dog was a female.
Dog was a female.
Okay.
Yeah. She was a good dog. And, and then, of course, she pretty much lasted all through my high school years, and my buddies go hunting, I had a bird dog.
Yeah.
That was popular in the hunting circle.
What did numbers look like at that point in time? I mean...
Oh, bird numbers? They were wonderful. I mean, it was nothing to go out and shoot a limit of quail, and half a day hunting. Pheasants, we never really hunted pheasants. Dad always preferred to hunt the quail, and, and I think the main part of that was watching the dog. I mean, there's nothing wrong with hunting pheasants with a dog. I mean, you properly trained dog and they, they're fun, but they don't hold for point, near like quail do.
Yeah, absolutely.
We get a covey of quail scattered out. You can go waylay them, get a good pointing dog.
So you had Queenie and then dog, and then you're out of high school. Do you continue in? Have you pretty much always had a dog? I don't know that I've heard very many stories about dog.
No, dog was just, she was a great dog. But, once again, crossbred dog with nothing wrong with. But, she kind of was my, high school dog, kind of the first dog I ever truly trained by myself.
Absolutely.
With some help from my dad, of course. But she was a good, steady dog. I've definitely had better dogs.
Well, maybe better dogs today. Who was next in the progression? So you had dog, and
then, of course, Dad kept dog when I left home. Then I bought a German Shorthair, actually. Shortly after I moved out of the house, I spent a whole $10 on her. She was a purebred German Shorthair. She was, she was kind of a basket case. I spent a lot of time with her, just breaking her, being gun shy.
Okay.
And I got lucky, actually. We were out hunting and shot a bird. The bird fell, went out there, could not find it. So I actually went back to the truck where the dog was cowered under. I grabbed the dog out from under the truck, took it out in the field, and basically threw it down right on top of the wounded bird.
Yeah.
Broke her.
Like here, look here.
Broke her. I mean, instantly she was broke being gun shy.
Huh.
I've never seen the like. But, and then, I had a couple other dogs that just, didn't make the cut.
Sure.
Pretty much always had a house dog also, I've had Yorkies. Right now I have Cocker, of course, Yeah. But, then my next real dog was also a crossbred. It was a English Pointer Brittany cross. Got it from a guy in Oklahoma. We brought 4 of the litter back to Norton, Kansas, I think. Good friends of mine had the other 3. I had Queenie. Queenie was just an all-around superstar. That'd be Queenie 2.
Queenie 2. Got it.
She just hard drive, a lot of drive in the dog. Once again, before e-collars. But I trained her up by myself, and she was just an all-around superstar. That dog had a kennel out back of the house, which made the kennel out of cattle panels, 4 foot high, the big holes in them. Had a dog house at the back of the garage, with the door on it. I'd take her out in the mornings and open the door to her kennel, and she'd go in, and then, of course, she could go outside and play. Come home from work in the evenings, I'd say, "Come on, Queenie." Queenie would proceed to jump over the fence and come in the house. She was something. She was.
That's just a different level of understanding. Like, I know I can't leave here until I'm told I can leave here.
She never got out, roamed the neighborhood, nothing. She stayed in her kennel until I told her she could come out. A dog was, and of course, me being a bachelor at the time, I had all the time in the world to work her, and I had a lot of fun tricks with that dog. I mean, I had the old style refrigerator in my house and kept a towel tied onto the handle. She'd go over to the refrigerator, grab the towel, open the fridge up, and grab me a beer if I told her to. She would not bring it to me. She would roll it across the floor, literally rolled across the floor because she did not like the cold in her mouth.
Yeah.
But she'd go give me a beer.
And then you could proceed to take that one back and put it in the fridge and get one that's not all shook up.
Correct. Yeah, I've had lots of dogs that, just had little quirks. And then, I got after Queenie 2, I had a couple English Pointers, full-blood English Pointers purchased. Once again, I was kind of a quail hunting guy, Then, of course, I went couple 3 years after my pointers passed away, without a dog. And of course, I got Callie. And, well, you very well know Callie.
Callie's good.
She was just something else. She was a special dog.
So for those to kind of put things into perspective or paint the picture of the pedigree here, Callie, who he's referring to, is a short hair that it was the first dog that I sold. I sold to my uncle through when we started with dogs. So this would have been 2009-ish.
I think 8. Yeah, 8? I think it's because I got it right after I moved to a house out in the country there.
So Callie would be Shooter's mother. Everybody knows who Shooter is. And Maggie, which there's some Maggie stuff in there with Breezy, people that have Breezy puppies. It'd be a Maggie daughter. And then anything that comes off of that. Most recently, we had a new breeding to Shooter, which we'll get into that here in a minute. But Callie's a big part of foundation-wise for what we have, and for good reason. She was a absolutely fantastic dog.
She was a superstar.
So I want to look at this here. You had you said like a handful of dogs that didn't really make it, but as far as really pretty good dogs that you hunted quite a bit, had for quite a while, like 4 or 5 over the years, plus the maybe washout categories.
Yeah, I've had probably 4 really good dogs in 50 plus years.
Yeah. And see, what year did you have what year was it when you had the Queenie 2, technically, approximately?
I think I got Queenie 2 in about 92.
I remember vaguely being little, and you had the dogs in the back that we couldn't really go. We weren't supposed to go mess with them. Like it was just leave the dogs out there. They're hunting dogs, and Mom and Dad told us, leave the dogs alone. You probably said, your little kids don't run out there and bother the dogs and let them out or whatever. So I remember that aspect of things. And I feel like that, and even for quite a while, was more the understanding of bird dogs, as they were bird dogs and they're designed to be bird dogs, not family pets. Like it's just a difference.
Well, and I think that's kind of the breed there, too, whereas, Queenie 2 was actually pretty much a house dog.
Sure.
The other 2 English pointers I had, they wanted nothing to do. Yeah, you let them in the house and they bounced off every wall. Yeah. They ran around. If they were out of the kennel, they wanted to go hunting.
Yeah.
Whereas my short hairs have always been house dogs.
Well, I see that a lot. And we talk about with people, that they don't make good kennel dogs because they want to be with you. So if you leave them out there, they say, no, I want to be with you. Now, granted, if they have someone like another dog to hang out, some form of companionship, but then when you have that companionship aspect of things, it pulls away from the companionship with you to an extent, because they have something. But for the most part, they don't make good kennel dogs. They do make better family companions, and they're smart enough / demanding enough to say, hey, it's better over there. Bring me with you.
Right. Yeah, and there again, it depends on the dog and, how it's raised. I do have a couple that stay in the kennel. Big reason one of them's in the kennel, which was always a house dog, is because I got one that couldn't be inside.
Yeah.
And so once again, she needed a companion out there. She's just not happy, and she just didn't make it as a house dog, And, I got her from you when she was a couple of years old, I think.
Yeah,
and,
maybe 3.
And she just never had the house training, she just doesn't know how to behave in the house.
Yeah.
And, can you break her of it? I don't know. Maybe, but probably not.
Well, at this point, she's 10.
Right.
9, approaching 10.
Yeah, she'd be 10 in May, I think.
10 in May. Well, it's an interesting thing. So you talk a lot about when you started, especially with the original dogs. There were no e-collars. You guys didn't have them because I think e-collars have been around since the mid to late 80s, but they kind of had 2 settings, hot and hotter, and you had to get the dog back to you and screw a plug out and screw a new plug in to change the level, and it would get interfered with by different signals being sent from things or all kinds of things. They just weren't the tool that they are today.
Yeah, Dad had one, actually, and like you said, and it was good for about 50 yards.
Yeah.
And the dog knew how to run 50 yards away.
And it doesn't work
really quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, now with the ranges, some of them are a mile now.
The new ones. Well, if you look at like the tracking units, Garmin stuff, those things technically track for miles and miles and miles.
Right.
But even just standard e-collar units, the new 5300 is a 2-mile range.
2 miles.
And I mean, realistically, it's going to go farther than that. That's when the middle probably of what they put down, because of there are potential interferences with up and down hills and whatever. Now, that being said, if a dog is 2 miles away from me, we probably don't need to be pushing the button anyway, because we have no idea what's going on.
No idea where it's at. Yep.
Now, you primarily hunted quail growing up. Do you feel like that's changed at this point based on numbers, based on what you would rather hunt? Because I know we hunt a lot of pheasants together.
Well, exactly. I mean, and the proximity where I used to live, mid to central Kansas, there was a lot
country.
of quail.
Yeah.
I moved out west to Norton, and primarily what we had out there at that time was pheasants.
Yeah, with a handful of coveys of quail around.
Yeah. I mean, quail are coming back really good now. So, I mean, there's some opportunities to hunt quail still, but, it was just, it was a transition of where I lived. I mean, being the major factor, I mean, if I lived on the Missouri Flyway, I'd probably be a duck hunter,
That makes sense.
It's about the hunt. Yeah. There's no sense in going pheasant hunting in Nevada, because there isn't any.
There aren't any. Yeah.
If you're going to shoot something, or if you want to go hunt something, run your dogs, you're going to run them on what's there. So,
yeah, probably chucker in Nevada, maybe. There might be a pheasant depending where you're at, but there would definitely be different things that are the primary, like trying to quail hunt in Alaska. It ain't going to happen. You're going to shoot ptarmigan, right?
You're going to shoot ptarmigan. Yep.
So, where do you feel like over the years that the transition really happened for you, going from we have bird dogs that we chase to we have bird dogs that listened and we could handle or train differently?
Probably when I actually started working with the dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you say, when I was a bachelor, I had time. I could teach my dog to do anything. But what did I do most of the time? I went home, had the dog.
Yeah.
I wanted to teach that dog something. I taught it something, and Queenie 2 never had an e-collar. They were out there then. I mean, you could get a good one then.
Sure.
But she never had an e-collar. I just always controlled her. But like I say, the dog lived with me. If I got in the truck, she got in the truck. The only time she wasn't with me is when I was working. So, yeah, I mean, she was really my first good dog, Unfortunately, lost her way early. She was accidentally killed. So, and then it's when I got Queenie 2. And yeah, she was just starting to become a good bird dog, and, also a house friendly dog. She spent a lot of time with me, but yeah. And then, beyond that, the 2 pointers, I had e-collars when I had them. Definitely a must for them. I mean, Pointers, as you know, tend to be broad ranging dogs, which was
especially depending on how they're bred, but
right, but I had them, I'd go turn them loose on a quarter section, I knew there was a covey there. I'd just let them roll,
go find them.
When they found the birds, there they were. They would point them,
It's interesting. I feel like it's something that has changed over the years. Dogs were good, and you kept them around, and this would be, generically speaking, everyone. If you had a good bird dog, you kept it around, and it was a good dog, and then that dog potentially got bred depending on the situation and whatever else. Those ones. The ones that weren't good either ran off or disappeared, or you passed them on, or something happened. Like they went away. Yep. Right?
Well, I had a handful of dogs that were just didn't make the grade. They weren't good dogs. You kind of forget about them. It's the good dogs you remember all the time.
Absolutely. So in that situation, you said you spent more time. So from her listening standpoint, but what did you do in the early stages of teaching them to do the bird dog aspect of things? What was involved in that development process?
I don't remember. Okay. I mean, you just kept the dog, you grabbed a sock, threw the sock, told the dog to go fetch it. Well, if the dog went and picked it up, then you encouraged it to bring it back to you,
Yeah.
Did the old wing on a string, got the dog pointing.
Yeah.
I always told everybody, that was one of my favorite tricks was Queenie. I'd throw a beer can out there and say, I bet I can make that dog point that. Like, why would that dog point that beer can? So I'd throw it out there. She'd run out. I'd go, whoa, bang. She pointed the beer can.
Yeah.
Fetch it up.
Did you ever run? Did you ever set birds? Like, this is a big thing from today's standpoint. Did you ever put birds out and work them in a field to do that? Or was it all wild bird related?
Never. Not until recently have I ever put birds out and actually worked dogs on it. No, it was all wild birds. They were all brought up on wild birds. That's how you taught them to hunt. Generally try to get them with another dog that did know what was going on. You work the basics with them, the pointing, retrieving, just, minding.
Yeah.
And after that, you put them on wild birds. They never had, I never had the opportunity to put birds out and work birds with dogs before they were on wild birds.
It's interesting. I feel like even today, we have all of the tools and we have all of the resources. We have less wild birds depending on where you are. I mean, the bird numbers are down. Some areas have really good bird numbers, but they can be more pockets. It comes and goes with seasons, or it comes and goes depending on the year and hatches and things of that nature. And there's definitely good concentrations of birds, but I do feel like readily accessible wild birds for people to have access to the ground and the birds and the pieces is harder, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, back when I was growing up, in the mid 80s, all you had to do was pound on somebody's door. Yeah. If you wanted to go hunt their property, basically all you had to do is pound on their door. You spend a little, time talking to people, and you could pretty much get access to most people's ground. I mean, There was a few people that wouldn't let you, but for the most part, if you had, spent a little time, went and talked to people, you could get on most ground, if you didn't want to do it without asking.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the access to wild birds back then was, and I don't know what happened to the numbers, maybe hunting pressure, weather patterns, obviously.
Sure.
There's multiple areas we hunt now down around Colby. Where we find the birds is where there's water.
Yeah.
Pivot corners. They have access to water all year long. I mean, you can go hunt anywhere else you want around there. There just isn't birds.
Yeah.
selected areas because they constantly have water. I think that's what's the most important things for bird numbers actually is water. I mean, Western Kansas, South Dakota. I mean, there's plenty of food out there.
Sure.
For them. I mean, all the crops that are raised, there's plenty of food everywhere for them. It's just basically about, water. If there isn't water, they just, don't grow the bugs, don't grow the ditches, road ditches aren't grown up, for them to have cover. So water's a huge deal. I mean, you see that all the time when we're in the area drought or whatever, bird numbers just drop significantly.
It's an interesting thing. It's definitely a big conversation topic, and there are a lot of opinions on what is the actual cause of the decline of birds. And some people talk about hunting. I joke because you hear a lot of stories. The quote unquote old timers say, well, I remember the day when we could go out, shoot a limit in the morning and go out in the afternoon and shoot a limit. And then, wait a second. So you're shooting double limits when the limit was double what it is now. I think in either North Dakota or South Dakota, I don't remember 100%. I'm going to have to fact check this one. But at one point in time, I think you could shoot 3 roosters and 2 hens in South Dakota or something like that.
Kansas, you used to be able to, you had had a 4-bird limit, which it still is.
Yep.
And one of them could be a hen.
One could be a hen. So you look at those aspects of things and you go, yeah, maybe that played a role. But really, you think about what is the lifespan of those birds as well. For an average pheasant or a quail, it's only a few years.
Yeah,
so
3 years is a pretty old pheasant.
Now, you can't say, if we didn't kill them, there wouldn't be more. And, it only requires this, that, and another thing. But I don't believe that harvest is in the top tier of reasons why the population has declined.
I would agree with you 100%. It's all about Mother Nature, how she treats them.
Absolutely.
I mean,
there's so many factors with the weather, like you're talking about moisture wise, but then people don't trap as much as they used to. So there are technically more predators. Nest robbers would be things like skunks or maybe even possums, raccoons, those little guys that used to be worth something as well, raccoons specifically. But if you aren't trapping, then, and coyotes, they come and go a little bit, but any of those pieces, maybe they don't put a huge dent, but they put a little dent, right?
Well, and, just predatory birds.
Sure.
The hawks,
are thick.
Falcons. Yeah, I mean, you didn't used to see them near as much as you do now. I mean, they got to play an impact on, bird numbers.
To some extent. Maybe it's a small piece, right? The predators that are a whole are a small piece. Then you have farming practices, and no one can blame the farmers. It's not even part of the equation. They are making a living too. So yes, capitalize on every inch to inch that you can farm because you're making a living. But when you do that and then have better farming practices like cleaner fields and all of these pieces, it eliminates what originally was a form of habitat. When you look back in the heydays, right? Fields weren't clean. They were dirty corn, dirty beans, dirty everything that was planted because you didn't really have the option.
Well, and back in the day when CRP first was introduced,
sure,
bird numbers just exploded. I mean, but they had nesting cover, and fortunately at that time we had a real wet period in northwestern Kansas. I remember seeing South Dakota moments.
Sure.
In Kansas.
we refer to any time, like it's a thing that still happens to today. You get a South Dakota moment. That's what we lovingly refer to them as. And you walk down into a honey hole, or you walk down into a cattail slough or any kind of a pocket, and hundreds of birds just start boiling out of this thing. And it's overwhelming and it's amazing to watch. And these waves of birds like roll through this slough.
The whole hillside will move just because of that many, sheer numbers of birds that are getting out.
A South Dakota moment. So those things have happened in other states I think at one, there was a time when Kansas rivaled the Dakotas for harvest numbers.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it was, it was the first year that you got Cali. We'll have to look at exact dates. 2008 or 9, 2008. So that fall, I remember coming and hunting with you. I had Sammy at the time.
Correct.
And maybe probably Sammy.
Just Sammy.
And we came and hunted the last week of the season.
Could have been.
Last couple days, last weekend of the season.
Right.
And you and I went out and we shot a limit for the two of us in like 25, 30, like one little quarter. We walked around and we had 8 birds. Now what do we do?
Yep.
And it wasn't, we didn't even kill all of them. It wasn't like we saw 8 and killed them. It was, we saw a whole bunch and killed 8 out of them.
Right.
You know, I mean, it was, numbers were different.
It was simple.
It was simple. Exactly. Which is fun to a point, but sometimes it's nice to work a little bit harder at it. It's, but you could find we found quail then too, quite a few coveys of quail. Right.
And the limit ain't, I mean, the limit thing, I guess, is one of those deals you grow out of, or I have, certainly.
I have, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's always nice to kill a limit. If you go fishing, catch a limit. But I'm really out there for the dog.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I want to do. I want to watch my dogs work. If they move 20 hens today and I don't get a shot at a rooster, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's about being in the field, you know, especially with good friends, family, just going out and hunting, you know, yeah. That's the part of it I enjoy, you know. How many fishing trips have we been on together, hunting trips, you know, other than chasing birds, you know. It's about going out and hunting, you know, and enjoying the people you're with, enjoying what you're doing, not about, I killed the biggest buck. I shot a limit every day I went out. It's not the deal. I mean, it's about going out and just enjoying the outdoors and hunting. You know, bird dogs are a big part of it for me. I mean,
I don't see myself doing any of it without them.
I would not bird hunt without dogs.
Now I did to begin with. This was pre-Sammy. This is when Kat and I first got together. I went out, they bird hunted. They had a family dog. It didn't hunt. Its name was Boots. It was just a farm dog and it wandered around and did farm dog stuff. But we went and hunted with a buddy of her dad's that he had a dog, and that dog was okay. I mean, I think same kind of progression. Had some good ones, had some bad ones. And, but we would just walk and we'd shoot a bird and then you'd walk out to it and you'd pick it up and then you'd put it in your bag. And if you lost one, then you would call him and say, hey, bring the dog down over here, 'cause we lost one in this, and the dog might find it, might not find it. And we just walked. Right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. That just wouldn't work for me. I mean, you know, after having dogs.
Yeah. Well,
you know, just going out and blindly stumbling around and hoping there's a bird get up.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, even dove hunting, which you obviously do not need a dog to a dove hunt. You know, you go out, sit out there. But, you know, just like opening day this week, I sat on a bucket. Opening day of dove season this year, I sat on a bucket. Had Sadie there with me. I sat on the bucket. I shot. Sadie went, fetched the bird up, brought it back to me, sat back down beside me. I didn't have to move. I literally didn't have to move. Shot my limit. 15 dove. I didn't have to get off that bucket.
And she had fun.
Oh, she loved it.
Yeah. There's a reason why they're called man's best friend.
Exactly.
They get along. There's the old joke, you know, throw your wife and your dog in the trunk and drive around town for a little while and see which one is happier to see you when you open it, right? It's just they are they give you everything.
Oh, that's what they want to do. They want to serve you. I mean, they truly, there's no dog out there that doesn't want somebody. I mean, they're trained to do different things.
Yeah.
To be antisocial sometimes, you know, but they love the companionship of the person as much as you love them.
Sure.
They're just, they want to do everything, you know. You know it. You scold a dog. A dog don't want to be scolded.
No.
It's trying to make you happy. Occasionally they have to be. I got a really good counter surfing dog. She gets scolded quite often. You know what? But if she gets something, she says, heck, it's worth it.
It's worth it. I'll just keep trying. So with we talked about water's important. We talked about farming practice changing. We talked about there have been things that roll through population-wise, as I'm sure, like any other bird species, that's just sickness related.
Correct.
That could be related to, this is an unknown. These are all just guesses, right? I'm sure that some kind of sickness and or lack of reproductive instincts come with a lot of these release birds. So as this game has grown into a business, I run a guiding operation. We hunt wild birds, but I'm not shaming anyone that doesn't. The businesses run big operations where they do run a bunch of groups through. You can't sustain that on wild birds, period, no matter how good the numbers are.
Correct.
And you accent the population with every bird that's shot that day. And those birds then do intermingle off the property with other birds and either reproduce birds that just aren't good at being wild or come with some form of a sickness that could spread through small groups. And it's a thing, like it's a possibility.
You know, and we've done several things on some properties we have there in northern Kansas, you know, with surrogators.
Tried the surrogators. Yep, that's what they're called. Yep.
And, you know, put birds out, you know, raise them there. You stay away from them, you release them. You know, they just don't live.
They don't. And except for when the all of the pieces are right for them.
Sure.
Which is when the wild birds come back anyway, right? I mean, it's so example being, we release quail in the spring for dog training.
Sure.
We turn probably close to 1,000 to 1,200 birds loose. We kill most of those in training.
Sure.
And on our property, though, there are between 5 and 6 coveys of quail. I don't know that there are any other pieces the size of what I'm talking about that you could find 6 coveys of quail in a 1.5 mile loop. Right?
Sure.
So to say that some of the release birds aren't making it, but at the same time, when we have really dry years and things like that, I can find 1 covey of quail. This year, everything's wet, but not too wet. Everything's wet. Things are growing. Bugs are everywhere. I've had to mow the pasture 17 times because I need it short and it just keeps growing.
Yeah, everything's green. Well, you know, and does stalking work?
Well,
probably
yes.
To some extent. I mean,
how did the pheasants get here?
Pheasants aren't native
no.
to the United States. They're, you know, from China.
See if I can find this. It's the Kansas's original pheasant stalking plan. I
think they release like 3 roosters and 10 hens per county or something.
I feel like it was less than that. So
the
first pheasant season, Kansas opened statewide, December 1st to the 15th in 1917. Okay. 1906 involved releasing birds throughout 84 counties. Where was it exactly? I thought it was something as simple as like they put 2 roosters, 2 hens in these 84 counties or something so minimal.
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember it wasn't very many they released.
You went around in 1906 to
no, I wasn't part of that stalking.
No. I don't know. I'll have to look it up and see, and we'll comment on it later. If I could find Well, this has the information here. Let's see. It goes 84 counties. The seasons were gradually liberalized over the next 5 decades. So they released 3,000 total pheasants over the 84 counties.
3,000 total pheasants. Wow.
So it was probably closer to what you're saying with, there's 10 or 15 per. It doesn't say here whether it was how many hens versus how many roosters, but, it's in that vicinity of roughly 30-ish birds per county, give or take. And they did their surveys forever and ever with rural mail routes, like driving the roads,
Yep. Mailman count.
Mailman count. And they've kind of gone away from that.
They do a lot of crowing surveys now, I think, is what they base most of their numbers off of.
It's wild, though. So 3,000 birds, 84 counties in 1906, and the first season happened in 1917. So
in 10 years, they populated enough to become a sustainable hunting population.
Followed by a period of season closing from 1921 to 1931. So they shut her down for 10 years and then brought it back in 32, and things stabilized until 1982. And that's when they jumped to 4 roosters per day, basically.
I never was able to hunt when it was legal to have a hen in your possession, but I know my dad and granddad talked about it. You could have 4 birds a day.
And one could be a hen.
One could be a hen. Yeah.
Well, that's more like your daily bag limits with ducks, right? You can shoot a hen. And I think some of that comes down to, like, we're up here grouse hunting, right? So you can shoot 3 grouse per day. And
Correct.
That can be a sharp tail. In South Dakota, it could be a sharp tail or prairie chicken, because in flight, the average person, and even me, depending on exactly where they're at and things, if one flies right over top of me, I can go, that was a chicken. If one gets up at 40 yards and it's flying away, at first glance, by the time I have the opportunity to pull the trigger, I couldn't always 100% say that was a chicken or that was a sharp tail.
I definitely couldn't.
Unless they make noise, because I don't know that I've heard, like, chickens don't seem to make as much, if any noise. They don't seem to make as much noise.
Right. The grouse make that chuckle, chuckle, chuckle.
Yep. The sharp. So if they get up going, caw, 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 then you go, it's probably a sharp tail. Yep. So, but you can shoot males and females because, again, when you have them in your hand looking at them, you can't even hardly tell them apart.
Sure.
So it's little things on their eyes or face, or even what I've found is the most accurate to show people the difference is tail feathers. Like, and then someone says to me, yeah, you expect me to pick that out in flight? No, I'm just telling, like, so you've got it in your hand and you can tell this is a male versus a female. So, to say that,
well, in sharp tail, prairie chickens, they mate 1-to-1. So, it isn't like a pheasant. A rooster pheasant will take care of multiple hens, killing hens in that case. Yeah, it's going to cut down your population. Where sharp tails are a 1-to-1 match, mating pair, probably ain't going to affect it. If you remove a rooster, there's going to be 1 hen left unserviced, if you remove the hen,
It's interesting. I don't think that there's anybody, I don't know that I've ever seen it. I will have to look this up. I don't know if I've seen anybody raising sharp-tail or prairie chickens in captivity like they do pheasants or chucker or quail or...
You're right. I've never heard of it.
Raising sharp-tail.
Once again, they're a native bird, though,
It's exceptionally difficult, strictly regulated due to sensitivity in captivity. So it sounds like it's not, we could probably find something, but it sounds like there's not a whole lot. There's also regulations and all the things, but Hungarian partridge are similar that way, that they have pairs and they're super territorial and aggressive. So they raise in individual pens and then you can move the offspring into bigger flight pens and things like that. But they have like breeding pairs that are individually kept apart from each other. Now, that may have changed a little bit. This was probably, I don't know, 10 years ago or so that I talked to somebody about that was trying to do it, but they're super territorial. So you've got to have the individual pairs, individual pins, essentially, for them to breed in, which doesn't, it's got to have changed because there's more people doing it now. So they maybe are more domesticated, but it is a thing. But anyhow, we've gone from kind of your history in bird dogs and talking about hunting and how those aspects have changed. I want to go into a little bit with how our growth basically in bird dogs happened together. You got Callie. You said she's a special dog. What do you think? I mean, outside of this is kind of a loaded question, but what do you think made her a special dog? Do you think it was just her, or do you think it was opportunities, and specifically what made her the special dog over the other ones? Like, why do you feel?
First and foremost, when I got Callie, she was a finished dog.
Sure.
She was professionally trained. I got her at about 18 months old. You'd had a hand in her training, of course. Definitely.
A little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit.
Definitely breeding. She came from quality stock. When had bird dogs before that. Hey, you got a pretty good hunting dog. Why don't we breed her with my hunting dog?
Yeah.
And that's how we chose it. Now you do a lot of studies, on different characteristics of dogs, and you try to match them up based upon, this dog's got a little more drive. This dog's a little better house dog. We do some line breeding. When you get them characteristics you like, you definitely want to keep them. How much of that? I don't know the science. You do.
Sure. There's a lot of science to it, but
there's, and she just was, a super dog. I think she came from some very good stock. For one thing, she was professionally trained, had e-collars in, I was able to control her, and she just seen sheer numbers of birds, I hunted every weekend then, a lot of afternoons I'd go out after work, take my dog out and hunt her, then, of course, hunting season got over. You was guiding down Texas at that time. You put her on thousands of birds. And there's nothing that teaches a bird dog how to be a bird dog more than numbers of birds. I mean, you can do anything you want with them, and you could have the best bird dog in the world. If it's never seen birds, it ain't going to hunt very good.
Yeah.
That's just, doesn't matter the breeding, training, whatever you do to it. If that bird dog don't see lots of birds, it ain't going to be a super dog. And she's seen lots of birds.
We talk about that a lot with folks, and this kind of goes into what we were talking about. I asked the question in regards to, did you put out birds to train? And you said, not really. We did some pointing drills, and then we went and found wild birds. Mm-hmm. I often refer to it as wild birds will make wild bird dogs, and dumb birds or pen birds will make dumb bird dogs. And that's not to say to someone that doesn't have access, like, you can't go do these things.
Sure.
But if you have access to the wild bird category, you should be utilizing that more. And in our development with dogs today, we still even gear towards that. I've got a video. We talk about the bare minimums that you need in order to be able to take your dog hunting. They should be collar conditioned, right? They should be, these are to make life easy. They should be collar conditioned so that you can reliably call them back. It's going to keep them safe when you're hunting around roads. It's going to make the hunt more enjoyable. If they do try and chase something, you can call them back to you. Okay. So then come back. Simple. Been introduced to gunfire properly so that they aren't scared at their first opportunity when you shoot a bird over them. And then that they have been introduced to birds properly so that they aren't scared by the first bird they come across in the field too. Ooh, I smell this. What is that? And then you go, Run back to the truck. That was big and scary. I don't want to be in this grass anymore.
I don't want to see this.
Can you imagine that? If you were walking through, on average, the grass is at or above their head height.
Sure.
Like maybe double sometimes. So you're walking through the forest, and out from behind this tree jumps this
Bigfoot.
basically, and it wouldn't be necessarily the same size as you, but let's even, like a Bengal tiger jumps out from behind the tree and starts chasing you or explodes or whatever. You're like, oh God, I don't want to go back in these woods. I might die. So just in that perspective for the dogs, if you've got those three things down, they can go hunting. With our young dogs, I try and keep them in that category. Like, I want you to be green. I don't want you to have preconceived notions of how to point, be really, really steady and woe trained and do all of these things, if at all possible. And it's not always possible, because it would be holding some dogs back based on when they are born. If it's a dog that's born in October or let's say September, let's go the other way. Sorry. September. So it's born in September. It doesn't get to hunt the first season. It's coming all the way back around to October. Seasons are opening again that way. And now it's over a year old and we haven't taught it anything. We just want it to experience this raw and wild. Now I've got a dog that's behind the bar and it really should be more. So getting that dog that can be 6, 7, 8 months old category, and like, this is best case scenario. I can bring Riot, who is 8 months. I would have to check now. I'm going to have to fact check myself. He's born, had to pick Riot. And I don't know his exact date of birth. And I looked this up the other day. He's in the zone. November. He turns a year in November. So he is right now 10 months old. And he'll be it's like the perfect age. He's mentally mature. He's gotten experience with some things. I did do a video series and I woe trained him, but that's also because a guide, so that I have some level of handling for this dog that people are paying to have out on the field. But we run very experienced dogs with him out in the field. Sure. And he gets to learn. He's had minimal exposure to pointing birds in launchers. He's had minimal exposure to any kind of those things. We've mostly worked on obedience, like you're talking.
Sure.
I had time to develop a dog that can come back to me and listen and do these pieces. Perfect. Now go allow these wild birds to teach you how to have respect for them, how they move and act and behave, and how hot scent smells different than cold scent where they just were. Learn to be able to differentiate those things, and not in some dirty training field. Now, all of these things I'm saying makes it sound like, don't send your dog off to be trained by some kind of professional that's going to do these things. But if you have the opportunity to develop a dog on wild birds, I think that would be the way that I would go about doing it.
Oh, definitely.
As raw as possible for two reasons. One, they learn the real thing, right?
Right.
But two, they don't have preconceived understandings of things that become naughty. Like a common question that I get from folks, and this is why our training program for the dogs that don't have that exposure is set up in a way that we utilize bird launchers, right? Mm-hmm. That bird launcher is as wild of a bird as I can create. We don't even give dogs the opportunity. First time through a launcher course, they don't even have the opportunity to try and point. If they smell it, I launch it. Well, guess what? That wild bird knew you were there and it got out of dodge,
took
right?
Off. Yep.
And that's what's going to happen. Now, granted, some birds sit tight and you're going to get them pointed and things, but if they don't have to try and be cautious, they're not going to do well. We hear, how do I get my dog to point further away from the bird? They creep all the way up and they'll touch it. Well, the fact that that bird allows them to do that is what is conditioning that behavior, right? I can get away with this. Now, it becomes a huge handicap when you go to try and hunt any kind of birds, even preserved birds that are released. They're not going to put up with that.
No, they're going to, once that dog starts creeping on them, they're going to blow out of there.
Most, you might get a bad one on occasion, but most of them are going to blow out. And then it kind of defeats the whole purpose. So training dogs with the best tools available or utilizing tools properly is going to be huge.
Sure.
So Callie specifically, she was a good dog and she had insane amounts of exposure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That dog would, yeah. I mean, that dog took off on a trail. You better follow it because there was going to be a bird at the end of it.
She was also smart.
Really smart.
I don't know if you remember this, but when we were hunting together one time, I remember coming back up to the truck. And I think I mentioned this to you because you were coming from the other way or something happened where we weren't right together, but she locks up on point. And I hustle up over there, you know, and we're like maybe 70 yards from the truck or something like that. And like, we just walked through here, but sure, I'm sure there could be a bird, right? This happens. And then she moves on, tracks, points again. Hustle up to that. She moves, tracks, points again. Now all of a sudden, we're 150, approaching 200 yards from the truck. She just goes back to hunting. I'm not ready to be done yet. She did that to me more than once. Where, like, I believe you because you're really good. And then you play this game to get me to go back so that we can keep hunting because you saw the truck. Yeah.
I'm not getting in there.
So, smart. She's just a smart dog. Now, it's kind of fun. You've had a couple dogs. We try and work through. You've always had dogs that kind of end up being part of the program, and we help train and develop them. And some people probably have Lucy puppies. That's Lucy is one of your dogs.
Lucy, yeah.
And lots of people have, a handful of people. Callie did a few breedings, not a ton of them. She did 2 breedings.
2 breedings, yeah.
2 breedings. So
and Maggie Lucy litter.
Yep. Rowdy puppy, Callie to Rowdy and Callie to Cash.
Right.
Those are the 2 big ones. The 2 only ones. But they there are people that may see this that have some of those dogs that are on the edge. It's a long time ago. But then all of the children from that, like Shooter being a primary stud dog for years, lots of people have Shooter puppies or Shooter grand puppies or Shooter great grand puppies or Shooter great grand puppies.
You know, I have 2 Shooter dogs now.
Yeah. And the newest edition, which she's not brand new, but the newest edition was we bred Hazel, which is kind of combining with 2 slightly different lines, if you will. Nix was a main stud dog too. Mm-hmm. And Nix produced Vex, who was a superstar. Everybody that has Vex puppies knows that and got to hunt with Vex. I mean, he really was.
Lucy Vex.
Yes. Lucy is, to Vex is what produced Sadie, which is your other dog. Right. You have Shelby and Cassie, Lucy and Sadie, and then Emmy, which is the cocker.
The cocker.
Yeah, we don't count her. She's just a cocker. So, right now though, Cassie has a litter of puppies on the ground. This is her first, but Cassie is a Hazel Shooter puppy. We did frozen breeding to pull some of those things back, and she's. We have a lot of nice dogs. You have all of the dogs on your truck are nice dogs.
They're all good dogs.
And then when you see the next level dog,
she is next level.
That is Cassie.
Cassie is next level. Yes. I mean, you know, last year we had her up here pheasant hunting.
Yeah.
You know, first experience pheasant hunting. You know, you had her the week before I came out. You know, this is what I want this dog to accomplish.
In its first season.
Yes. It had done it in the first hour.
Pretty much.
It had pointed a wild bird. It had retrieved a wild bird.
Making back, his hunting, all of the pieces. It's now, granted, it's part of that is that she had the opportunity to do it.
Sure.
But there are lots of dogs that have the opportunity to do it and don't make it happen.
Right. You know, there's not a bad dog in my truck right now. But the difference in them dogs and what I see in Cassie, they're all good dogs. I mean, Cassie is just something else. She reminds me a lot of her grandmother.
Yes.
Grandma Callie. She just, well, as is her name.
Cali Succession. I like it. She is going to be special. You get all of the pieces there. So Hazel is a grit Vex puppy, and we should have to, like, some people are following this really well, and some people probably would love to see it on paper. You can go to standingstonekennels.com and take a look at, or we can probably throw a pedigree up there for Cassie at this point. Hazel, her mother, is a grit Vex puppy, so you get that piece in there, which is Muddy and Splash. Those are the three sisters that we have. Really, really nice breeding that produced a lot of consistency. Good bird dogs that have a lot of drive and desire and good personalities, and then pulling that piece into shooter. And that's a lot of the crosses that we've been doing this year, to be able to mix those like Vex genetics crossed with shooter genetics. And they turn out really well. You get good pieces. Shooter puppies tend to be really, really, really natural dogs. Like, there's things come to them.
They're always extremely good at backing.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. They don't have to, you don't have to train them to back. No. They just back.
And, Vex was really good, and Grit was really good, and those offspring are good, but the other ones are like next level exceptional. They hit every back. They look like they're on point, $1 million standing there backing.
Sure.
But when you cross the little bit additional, like, I feel like the Vex aspect of that piece pulls in a different level of ground speed, cover, movement, things. They're slightly different. He was a little faster. Shooter was slightly more methodical, not slow. I even hesitate to say methodical, because he wasn't slow and methodical, but more so than Vex.
Vex was really flashy.
Flashy.
Shooter was just consistent.
He was consistent. He was always there. He was always in range. You never worried about him. He always found birds. He always retrieved birds. He always did everything. But when it came down to who people saw on the hunt, they're like, "Ooh, that dog who did the cool, quote unquote, cool thing," right?
Yep.
And you see that same comparison in your dogs currently. Like, Sadie runs big and flashy. Well, not huge, but she runs big and flashy, and that's her daddy. It's there. And Lucy hunts hard. There's no question about that.
Lucy's a great hunting dog.
Then when you look at Shelby, who's the little shooter puppy, she's there. She's always hunting close, and she finds birds, and she retrieves birds, and the no BS gun dog. Like, she's there.
Right. She'd be a great dog for an old man to have. That's why I got her, I guess.
and then you look at Cassie, and she has that, somehow she has the combination of both. Like, she incredibly adjusts naturally to cover. She's there in the thick stuff, but if we open up on the range, she covers, and she looks like that flashy. It's like, somehow we got both.
Yeah,
we don't have to fight her in the thick stuff to stay close enough, and we don't have to say, go hunt in the open stuff.
Push her,
Yeah. So it's just a cool combination when you have such a long list of good dogs that you've had over the years, and then be able to go, this one's next level.
Wow. I mean, it's just, and how do you predict that? There's no way you can predict it. I mean, you could do the same breeding 10 times and end up with one of those, out of all 10 breedings, it's just, it's a dog. Yeah. All dogs are different, They're no different people, all people are different. They just, once in a while, you've got 3 brothers. Ain't one of you alike.
We are not alike at all. No, we're not alike at all. We touched on these things a little bit, but I do want to talk specifically about changes over the years with equipment and training. And I kind of want to wrap that piece together, because we talked about e-collars. You didn't have them to begin with, but you do now. What other things have you seen change over the years from when you started with Queenie 1, or even if you go into Queenie 2 and more, you're an adult and you have dogs? Sure. What do you think some of the biggest changes are? And do you think they're for the better or not?
Oh, back when I started training dogs, we did not have accessibility to birds.
Yeah.
you had wild birds.
Yep.
If you're going to hunt birds, if your dog's going to hunt birds, they're going to go hunt wild birds. I mean, yeah, you'd try to catch a pigeon once in a while out of underneath the overpass or whatever. And, if you get 2 or 3 of them, you might put them out. But, we've got bird launchers. We've got, accessibility birds. There's several bird raisers around the area. I can take a dog out anytime I want and put birds down for it.
Yeah.
Start training that dog. Where, we didn't, the e-collar, just night and day. I mean, what that does for a dog. I mean, some people might say it's harmful to a dog or
Sure.
the dog doesn't like it, but I don't know anybody or that I know of that uses an e-collar that abuses a dog with it. Most of them, only time they ever use an e-collar is on the vibrate or the beeper.
Sure.
A lot of guys beeper train their dogs. I'm not one that likes that, but
yeah.
I mean, if I beep my dog, I want to beep it just where I know where it is. A lot of guys use it instead of using stimulation. The vibrate mode. If that ever hurts a dog, I'd be surprised. And there's too many people that actually probably don't use their e-collar enough.
Sure.
Just simple fact, they think it's bad for the dog. Okay, maybe it is, but simple stimulation, yeah. Done, and you should know your dog. Know what levels it needs. I mean, there's hard-headed dogs out there. They sometimes need a little more stimulation, and there's some soft dogs. I mean, if you overstimulate a soft dog, the dog may just quit hunting today.
Yeah.
But other than that, equipment, the bird launchers, huge. It's just a huge training tool. I mean, when you can put 4 or 5 bird launchers out and work a dog through a course. What else training? Oh, well, the leads you guys use, teaching a dog to heel. I tried to teach a dog to heel. I put an easy lead on a dog.
Yeah.
It's going to heel.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, it's an amazing piece of equipment to teach a dog, and they're tough, durable. You're never going to wear one out, I don't think. So,
yeah.
How about just what you guys do? All the online videos. It used to be I had an issue with a dog. There was no internet when I grew up.
We talked about the other day. You told me you took an online taxidermy class when you were in high school. Yeah, and I was like, wait a second.
It was a mail order. Mail order.
Online taxidermy class?
Yeah. But, we just didn't have that. I mean, you look at all the, if you got any issue with your dog, my God, dog's a little gun shy. What should I be doing? Type it in. Yeah. You'll find somebody that knows something about that on a YouTube channel or on a training.
Absolutely.
I mean, you guys offer all kinds of stuff out there. I mean, I don't know how many things that are available now that you could have never done before. Yeah. The old bird on a wing, that's fine to get a dog starting to point, but you really don't want a dog sight pointing. They got a nose for a reason.
Absolutely.
You don't want every little bird that comes around just pointing it because, hey, it flew.
I saw it fly. Yeah. It's an interesting thing. So it sounds like, I wasn't there to begin with without all of these things. I came into it on the edge where there's definitely e-collar products. That hasn't changed a whole lot since I've started training dogs. There's been some advancements and features, if you will, but quality collars existed when I started. We actually used the same collar for years and years and years. The 1820 was one of the first collars that I used and tried. And I mean, we just stopped using them when the 5300s came out. So we're talking lots of years and using the same equipment. But the differences, I think, are if the tools that are available today are used appropriately, people have way more access to things to help them be successful than were available before.
Correct. I mean, if you didn't know somebody
Yeah.
that had worked through a problem, with a dog. Yeah, back when I was first training dogs.
Yeah.
If you didn't know somebody, you just blindly went into it. I broke my dog of being gun shy by accidentally dropping her on the bird that was wounded.
That could have gone totally horrible or made it like it could have compounded the problem or fixed it. And apparently it fixed it.
It fixed it. I mean, after that, she was broke. But, I did the old trick. I mean, we knew she was gun shy. We introduced her to gunfire as a puppy. She never liked it. Well, she got up and started hunting her, attempting to hunt her. She had a great nose on her. But, as soon as the first gun went off, she went to the truck.
Yeah.
Nothing you could do to stop her. She was going to the truck. Well, I talked to people. They said, bang their dog dish every day before you feed them. So I banged the dog dish every day when I fed her. If she shied away from it, she didn't get chow. Well, didn't work.
Yeah.
Well, start with a cap gun. Just shoot the cap gun, back in behind her. Well, didn't work. She didn't mind the cap gun. Take her out and the shotgun went off and bang, back to the truck. So, yeah. The resources. I mean, yeah, you could read a book back then. Now you can pull it up and watch somebody do it.
Yeah.
Just having, knowledge of what should be done, what can be done versus actually watching somebody do it. Wow. That's such an advancement in training.
Well, even when I got Sammy, the first dog, there were a handful of videos that could be purchased.
Sure.
There were some VHS tapes, and some of the VHSs had been converted to DVD. You could get the 5 or 3 VHS tape series that had been converted to DVD, and I could buy that at Cabela's. But online, when you started using, and I mean, the internet was very much a thing when I had this dog. It's not that long ago, and you start to look for bird dog training videos or bird dog training anything. And I signed up for a email list, and I would get a weekly training update for this little lab puppy that talked about basic development stuff. And it lasted like 3 weeks and then quit. So, and there wasn't much to that. And then there were maybe a handful, 1 or 2, maybe 10 videos, but some of them specifically were just a guy that had some dogs for sale that he'd put out. So at least I got to see kind of what a dog looked like while it was doing some of these things. And a lot of it didn't even make sense at the time. I was like, that dog doesn't really look like it's learning that all that well. I don't know if I want to try this. Right. And, but that was very minimal. And now, yes, we have a lot of videos, but a lot of other people also have a lot of content out there. And
I mean, you could spend 100 hours a week watching videos and not get them all done in a year.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, probably even just on our channel alone.
Well, that could be.
Yeah.
That could be.
I don't know where we're at exactly, but I think it's over 1,000 videos on YouTube it's well over with if you include shorts, but even before the short videos were a thing, I think we hit over 1,000 full-length videos on YouTube. So there's definitely more resources, but it's interesting. So, the tools have advanced drastically. The resources available.
Sure.
But the best way to develop the dog has more or less gone away to an extent as far as availability goes. It's still wild birds, and there's less of them. There's less access to them.
And hunting wild birds is my idea of the best training for a dog.
Sure.
But if you accent that with some release birds hunting, once again, you're just getting your dog more exposure to birds. They learn from birds, be them wild or released pen-raised birds. The dog just needs to be on birds. And I can't stress that enough. That's the best way to make a good bird dog, is put them on lots of birds.
as long as the birds are good enough, there's a key there.
Wow.
Because if you get bad birds and you have them super dizzy and dog catches all of them, it's a bad thing. But
Correct.
as long as they're good enough, I agree with you. The birds 100%. And that's where, yes, I hunted on a preserve with Callie, but she never caught birds. Birds all flew. They're quality birds there. And got thousands of birds killed over in the 3 months that she was with me, or a couple months she was with me.
Sure. And she did that for
few seasons.
2-3 years, yeah.
Yeah, probably 3. This is good. I want to go. We've hunted a lot together.
Yes, we have.
A lot. And I want, just as a fun way to finish this up, what is your most memorable us hunting together story? It's kind of puts you on the spot a little bit, but have you got anything specific that...
I got to believe it's the first year you and Silas came back and we went deer hunting.
Yeah.
Probably my most memorable hunt ever. You guys weren't, but 14, 15 maybe.
I'm in that age. Yeah.
Neither one of you could drive, so
no, we were young. I might have been 12 or you have to be. I was young. I don't know, 13.
Yeah, maybe. Something. But that, and really that was probably your real first experience hunting.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I don't know. That's what I'm going to call out. We've been, just this year we went down, hunted axis deer, Texas, we've been hundreds of bird hunts together. I mean, to single one of them out, it'd be nearly impossible. I mean, we've had some great days, we've had 10-man limits in 45 minutes, and we've had
1-man limits in 45 hours, it seems like.
Exactly. But I mean, that's hunting. That's why they call it hunting. It's not just killing.
Yes.
It's, single one hunt out. It'd have to be our deer hunt.
Well, you cheated because that was actually mine. But the interesting thing about that and why that was memorable, I think that this is something that gets missed, not by everybody, but it does get missed on the level of importance that mentorship to young individuals plays in not only this sport, but all activities, all sports things. Mentoring, it's a kid. Yes, the hunt took more time. Yes, it didn't go quite as planned. Yes, you had to drag the kid that couldn't pick up his feet. I remember you turning around. We were sneaking up on and you turn around and you're like, pick up your feet. Stop dragging yourself through the brush. And I'm like, got it. And you're like, do you see the deer up there? And I'm like, no. You're like, look through the scope. I'm like, I'm looking through the scope. Do you see the deer? No. Where are you looking? Obviously the wrong place. I don't know. But it was
well, you didn't grow up in a hunting family.
I did not.
No. Your dad partakes in hunting still or now.
He went with you a couple times when he was trying to get in with the family.
We took him bow hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, for deer.
He tells a funny story about that. We jump into this. He says he goes hunting with your uncle, and he goes, "You see that rabbit over there?" I'm like, "Nope." He goes, "Right by that." So obviously it runs in the family. He and I can't see things apparently. You're like, "Right by that log." Nope. And then you go, and it's stuck to the side of the hill. He goes, "Do you see it now?" Oh yeah, right there it is. So but it's the simplest things. And this is the weird part about memories and everything else. I remember stopping at the gas station in the morning. I think I've told you this before, but you're like, "Do you need anything?" I'm like, no, I don't need anything. You're like, "I'm getting a candy bar. Do you want one?" Right? Like a simple thing, like a Snickers bar, candy bar. I'm like, "Well, I like Skittles." And you came out with a king size bag of Skittles, which was the coolest thing for I didn't get king size candy bars, like what does it matter? Right. But it's those kind of small things that I remember my entire life. I remember going, and I remember
Well,
riding around in the truck with you, and
that's one thing you got to remember too. If you're mentoring somebody, if you're taking a kid with you, honey, you got to make them comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, first and foremost, if it's a bag of candy, if it's a box of donuts, what do kids do? They eat.
Yeah.
I mean, get them some food. Make sure they have something to eat with you. Just don't take them out and say, "Here's a bottle of water."
Here's a bottle of water. It's 32 degrees. We're going to sit here till you can't feel your hands and you are miserable and you hate this. And you go, wow, hunting sucks.
Right.
Let's never do that again. But
if you got a bag of Skittles there to chew on, it makes it go a lot better.
It does. Absolutely. And it didn't affect the hunting. We were successful, but we had to hunt hard.
Oh yeah.
And, it is ultimately what started a big portion. I liked outdoor stuff. I liked fishing. I grew up in Iowa. There were lots of they've got a really cool, especially in the area that we're at, there's lots of little ponds that you can access and public hunting areas that are small, but accessible to everyone. And it's those kind of things. I remember going fishing with my dad a lot. Mm-hmm. And then that was really my first experience hunting. And I do remember coming home and talking to my parents about wanting to do it. And from that point forward, I hunted and I tried to bow hunt then. And I rode my bike with my bow to a hunting place. I don't know what I was going to do if I killed something, but I didn't. So it didn't matter. But it was, I went out there and did it. And
right. Got the opportunity to see some. And even if you wasn't successful, you was out hunting.
Yes. Yeah. It's fun. Well, I appreciate you being willing to do this.
Oh, enjoyed it.
Well,
we'd have probably been talking about it anyway.
Probably. Well, it's fun to hear the history behind how bird dogs specifically for you were, and how that has evolved over the years. And ultimately being able to look at things in the past give us a lot of insight on what we've done right moving forward, and maybe what we've lost sight of from what really worked in the past. It's important to pay attention to history and have these conversations to know, can we make adjustments today yet to better what we're doing? Right.
You always got to move forward, but don't forget about what's behind you.
Absolutely. Well, with that, folks, we're going to wrap this one up. I appreciate you all for being here. I am the guy with the pink gun, and we will catch you in the next one.